Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Professor Ming's Strategic Insights. Today, the world's hottest news is Trump's tariff war. And last time we talked about how Beijing views this tariff war, and we briefly review how they exchange fires along the way. And we'll also briefly introduce how China or how Beijing launches a propaganda war against the United States on economic, political, and even on moral grounds on three fronts. And we also talked about how they see this war in ideological terms, how they see that as a war without even without the smoke of guns and cannons, and it is still a war for them. We also talked about that they don't think they lost the war last time. They did not lose the war in 2019 to 2020. They fulfilled about the 58% of the trade deal they promised Trump, and eventually Trump got out of the office, got out of the White House, and then he did not get reelected. So Beijing saw that as a victory, if not a landslide one, but at least it's a remarkable victory. So that gives them some kind of courage, or some kind of, or we could say, moral support for this time. So today we're going to focus on a different aspect of this tariff war. We want to talk about more on how they actually deal with this tariff war. We can look at this question from two sides, the internal side and the external side, the so-called domestic and the foreign side. Internally, they have done basically three things. First is they try to strengthen their domestic consumption. They try to boost their domestic consumption, although it's kind of difficult. We're going to talk about it in more details later on. That's the first thing. And the second thing, they want to strengthen the tenacity of their financial system. Well, they know they have a problem with debts, both on national level and on local government levels. And the debt problem is quite serious. And then they try to strengthen it, and they try to, like I said, they try to strengthen the tenacity of the whole system. The third aspect, or the third part of their domestic effort is how to speed up or how to accelerate the technological innovation, although it takes some time, but they are aiming at it. So these are basically the three dimensions that they put their efforts in domestically. Externally, we have observed that they have adopted or they have launched three waves of responses to this tariff war. The first wave includes several parts. The first is the increased tariffs on U.S. goods on a retaliatory basis. They increased the tariffs on United States goods all the way to 125%, as we mentioned last time, and targeting primarily at America's farm produces and some high-tech products and energy, of course. That's the first thing. The second thing is they filed a complaint to the World Trade Organization accusing the United States of violating the rules of international commerce or international trade, and that's a joke. The third thing is they put a ban on export of rare earth. They know that these elements are important to produce EV cars and electronic equipment. They know that the United States need them desperately, so they do that. The fourth thing is they put a hold on the delivery of Boeing 737 MAX airplanes, and they even sent one back all the way to Guam from Hangzhou, I believe, and that's a fourth one. The fifth one is they demand their diplomats, the Chinese diplomats around the world, to enter into what they call a wartime state. And they're demanded to strengthen their effort in fighting back this tariff war imposed by the United States, and they try to seek cooperations from countries who suffered from this tariff, this U.S. tariff. They seek cooperation from European countries, ASEAN countries, BRICS countries, and even Japan and South Korea. although little has been achieved, but that's the direction that they're gonna work on, and I believe that's gonna last for quite some time. And those were the first wave of response China adopts to deal with the United States tariff war. The second wave began in last week, a little bit earlier than last week, actually. The first one is what we call a financial nuclear bomb. It is said, or news have it, that Beijing just sold out about a total of $50 billion worth of United States Treasury bonds. And they have altogether, I believe, $760 billion in total of U.S. Treasury bonds. And this is the first batch that is sold out. And it is what they call a nuclear, financial nuclear bomb. Well, it is not big, but it is a very clear sign that they want to wage a war, or at least they want to warn the United States that they have this kind of weapon in their arsenal. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, it is said that they just withdrew more than 2,000 tons of gold from Fed's New York branch, and they are already shipped back to Beijing and Shanghai and to store there. So that's the second thing they do. The third thing is that they are now promoting a policy, the policy that they had before, but they are now promoting it in a more upgraded level. This is what they call departure tax refund. And they're going to speed up the whole process, and they're going to facilitate the Chinese exporters for doing that. And they have two goals. The first is, of course, to stimulate the export of Chinese goods, because it's now facing some trouble. The second is to speed up the pace of so-called de-dollarization. I think it's kind of difficult. And well, actually, my gut feeling tells me that they're not going to do that. They're not going to do it all the way because they cannot afford it. It's going to hurt them more than hurting the United States. So I don't think they're going to push it all the way to the limit. But anyway, it's kind of measures that they can take, or they can use it as a warn, as a sign to warn the United States from going any further. And that's the third thing. The fourth thing is they are launching a very accurate strike against the red states, so-called the Republican states, the states who support Trump strongly. Those are the what we call the agricultural states. Beijing is now cutting or stopping the permit, the issuance of permits for the imports of American pork and beef and poultry meat and things like that. So it's going to hurt them, hurt the agricultural states, as we said before. And then we also noticed that Beijing has imported less liquefied natural gas from the United States, probably only to the amount of 1/7 of what they imported from the United States compared to what they bought from the United States last year, about the same period, the first season of last year. And that's the fourth thing. The fifth measure that they take is they're going to implement. They say they're going to implement a so-called Anti-Foreign Sanction Act, although the details yet to be announced, but it's on the way. And it is said that they could freeze foreign assets and put a limit on deal or trades, and they could fight back, or they can put sanctions on American goods and things like that. Like I said, we don't know the details yet, but it's going to come pretty soon. And that's the second wave of response that we have noticed. The third wave of Beijing's response to Trump's tariff war is it's been publicized or been reported, but we haven't seen much details yet. And we're not sure whether they're coming, but we guess they're going to come. The first thing is, it is that they're going to call the UN Security Council to hold a meeting, to hold a provisional meeting, and summon less than 200 countries to participate. And they're going to condemn the United States of weaponizing so-called tariffs and to bully other countries around the world. And they said that this effort of the United States casts serious doubts to the global effort to seek peace and development. And if they succeed in doing this, I think it's going to hurt the United States to a certain extent. So the United States, I guess, would be preparing for this. And anyway, it's coming. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we noticed that Xi Jinping just paid a visit to countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, and Cambodia. And they struck some deals, some trade deals among these countries. First is to strengthen the relations between China and these countries. The second intention or the second goal is to prevent these countries or to deter these countries from selling out China to the United States, because that, as we figured, as we mentioned last time, United States may want to push these countries to raise their tariffs on China, on Chinese goods, and as a trade or as a bargaining chip. China is very much afraid of it. Remember we talked about this last time? We noticed that Trump has imposed 49% of tariff, extra tariff on Cambodia, and 48% on Laos, 46% on Vietnam, 44% on Myanmar, 36% on Thailand, 32% on Indonesia, and 24% on Malaysian goods. So these countries are under heavy pressure from the so-called Trump tariffs. So they have the motivation and they have the very strong incentive to negotiate with the United States, probably by betraying China. So that's a problem they're going to handle. They're going to calculate how to do is most beneficial to them. And they all have different reasons. But we're going to talk about that in our later programs as things evolve. And next thing is they'll be probably thinking about playing the Taiwan card. There are so many things they can do about Taiwan. We're going to talk about that in future programs. Anyway, like I said, it's an important card for them, and it's almost like a trump card for Beijing. So they're going to use it at the right time and at the right place and at the right tempo too. So we're going to talk about that later. So eventually, let me go back to one of the topics we talked about previously. What do they want? What does Beijing want out of this deal, out of this tariff war against the United States? We mentioned that they have 3 layers of goals. The bottom layer or the lower layer is they will sign an agreement, sign a deal, but they will not fulfill all of it. They will not fulfill it to the full. They'll fulfill only part of it, and hopefully that Trump will be happy about it, and Trump will probably stop somewhere. That's the bottom line. And as for the middle layer of their goal is to create trouble for Trump, together with the American forces, like the Democrats, the Wall Street big guys, and some leftist forces in the United States, or even the average people who can no longer suffer the increase of living costs and food prices, gas prices, food prices and gas price and things like that. And hopefully that put an end to the tariff war. As for the top goal for Beijing in this tariff war is to create bigger problem, or even a bigger problem for the United States, and hopefully to put an end to United States hegemony, economically, militarily, and technologically. Don't ask me why, because I'm going to talk about it later in details. And then after they successfully squeeze the United States out of Asia, they'll probably seize Taiwan and then probably claim hegemony over the United States. So it is crazy as we see it now. But believe me, it's on their agenda. So like I said, they may be crazy, but they have their own rationale. And they have their own logic Their logic is quite different from ours because they're communists and we're not. So, but anyway, let's all be more cautious about what they would do and how we're going to fight back to protect our values. And I think that's all I want to share with you today. And I hope you like today's program. Please share it with your friends, and then please subscribe if you haven't done so. And also click the icon bell. Don't forget to do it so that you'll get an in-time notification when we have a new program out. And that's all for today. I'll see you next time then.